Hey, Jernez, I have a potentially dangerous question. When you first started in IP, did you have a 5-year plan?
Oh, absolutely. It was color coded, structured, responsible, and completely unrealistic.
Same. I definitely thought there was a very clear ladder. Like you start here, you work hard, you get promoted, you move up, you stay in the lane.
Yeah, I thought there was the path, like one official approved trademark career path.
I know, right? Firm, maybe in-house, bigger portfolio, bigger title, repeat,
And no one tells you there are side doors
or trapdoors.
or entirely different buildings you didn't know existed.
Yeah, exactly. And I think especially in IP, or maybe especially for women, there's this quiet expectation to choose the stable route, the predictable route.
Yeah, it's the safe route.
Yeah, and this means the sense on LinkedIn route.
And look, there's nothing wrong with that path. I took that path, and a lot of people love that path.
Yeah, absolutely. But I don't think we talk enough about the fact that it's not the only one.
And sometimes you don't even realize other paths exist until you see someone else take one.
Yeah, that's such a good point. Sometimes it's not that you want something different, it's just that you don't know something different was possible.
Exactly. You don't know what you don't see.
So let me ask you this. Was there even a moment where you thought, okay, this isn't exactly what I pictured?
Oh, absolutely. There was a point where I realized I loved the work, but not necessarily the structure around the work.
Oh, yeah, that's good. I think that's true for a lot of us TMAs.
Yeah, because you can love trademarks, you can love the strategy, you can love the systems, but that doesn't automatically mean you love the box that it comes in.
Yeah, and that's really what today's episode is about.
Yes, we're talking to two women who didn't just climb the ladder, they stepped off it.
They looked at their careers and said, okay, I know what I'm good at. I know what value I bring, but what else can I build with this?
And that really takes courage, especially in a field that values precision and risk management.
Right. We are literally trained to identify risk and avoid it.
So career risk feels unnatural.
But sometimes the bigger risk is staying somewhere that doesn't fully fit.
Yep, that's good.
Yeah, and today we're celebrating women in IP who expanded what a TMA career can look like, not by leaving the profession, by redefining it.
And that's really the most exciting part. They didn't walk away from trademarks. They just built something different with their expertise.
And I can't wait for you all to hear their stories. Welcome to the TMA Talk Show. The TMA Talk Show will take you into the heart of the TMA community, highlighting the trademark administrators as a force to be reckoned with within the intellectual property landscape. Hosted by yours truly, Emily Quackenbush, along with several surprise guest hosts, the TMA Talk Show will focus on the IP community, collaboration, and the unique contributions of each episode's special guests. This is the TMA Talk Show. Because while the rest of the world is busy building, marketing, and launching, the trademark administrator is quietly, or not so quietly, making sure you still own the name you're so proud of. Oh, and hey, of course, this goes without saying, but All Legal is a legal tech company and not a law firm. Nothing here in this episode should be considered legal advice, and this presentation expressed the views of our speakers and not necessarily those of Alt Legal, the TMAE, or the views of the hosts. Hey friends, welcome back to the TMA Talk Show. Today's episode is part of our Women in IP series, and we're diving into something powerful, what it looks like to reinvent your career path as a trademark professional.
The traditional ladder isn't only a path anymore. And today we're talking to two women who expanded what's possible for TMAs in very different ways.
First, we're thrilled to welcome Elyssa LeFevre Chayo. Many of you know her as Liz. She's the founder and CEO of Firm Forward, an international legal marketing and business development agency. Before launching Firm Forward, she spent nearly a decade as a trademark administrator, managing global portfolios, including Gold's Gym, Omni Hotels, Payless, and StrideRight. She understands trademark operations from the inside, and now She advises law firms and legal teams on growth and strategy. She remains deeply connected to the trademark community and is passionate about expanding the ways professionals in IP can build careers, leadership roles, and influences beyond traditional trademark structures. Liz, we're so happy you're here.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
And joining her is Lindsay Harris, founder of the Legit Paralegal LLC, where she provides contract trademark paralegal services to law firms and trademark attorneys. Lindsay brings over 22 years of paralegal experience, including 7 years focused specifically on trademarks. She handles clearance searches, USPTO filings, maintenance, and built her own independent practice after years in traditional roles. She is passionate about the collaborative spirit of the trademark community and believes generosity, shared expertise, and strong professional relationships are what truly move the industry forward. Welcome, Lindsay.
Thanks for having me. I spend most of my time behind the scenes, so this is exciting.
We're very excited. Thank you both again for being here. This is going to be a great conversation. But first, we're going to warm up with some rapid fire. So, very first thing that comes to mind, Liz, describe your leadership style in one word.
Empowering.
Empowering. Okay. All right. And Lindsay, same question.
Hesitant.
Okay, now you have to elaborate a little bit.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I'm not like I'm a eldest daughter, so I mean, in that sense, I am a leader. But it's, from becoming in the paralegal field, we are always used to not necessarily being the leader. So with starting my own business, it's been a learning experience, and it's been a really awesome learning experience, but it definitely has its ups and downs, and I'm at a point where it's mostly up, so I'm excited about that.
Mostly up is right. That's good. Yeah. Awesome.
Liz, what's one skill you use every day that people wouldn't expect?
Connecting people. And that's something that I didn't expect either, but something I use every day.
Lindsay, what about you?
I think the kind of work that we do is a lot more interesting than people would think. It's basically like a detective work. So I like to really get into that like spirit and think of myself as like a modern day Sherlock Holmes. So I can really get into it that way.
That's right. And being very resourceful. I feel like a lot of times we have to really dig deep and be resourceful. So that has a lot to do with it. So, structure or flexibility, Lindsay?
Oh man, this is a hard one because it's like both sides of my personality. I love the structure of the work, but now that I do my own thing in my own business, the thing that I love about it is the flexibility in the schedule. I can kind of structure my day however I want, and that is honestly my favorite part of it. So I'm going to go with both.
Okay. Liz, how about you?
I think when I started my journey, even independently, that structure would have been my answer. But culturally, and as I've evolved, it's definitely turned into flexibility. That's from being a mom and just working with people in different countries who have completely different cultures that dictate when they're available and what a deliverable looks like. So I'm going to go with flexibility.
Yeah, and I think the workforce today demands flexibility. It's changing all the time. And I think with our roles and our jobs, we have to be flexible with the underlying structure that we do in our daily jobs and our daily demands. But at the top, we have to be flexible every day as well. So I think it's hard to pick one over the other. They kind of mesh together these days with the workforce, the way it's evolved in our roles.
Remote work or office energy? Liz.
That's also tricky. I definitely value remote work, but I also value relationships a lot. And the in-person time from time to time is so important, like, conferences.
Great. Lindsay, what do you think? Remote work or office energy?
Oh man, I love the remote life. I love getting to start my day and, if I have meetings, doing like business on top, and my PJs on the bottom. I love that. But I will have to agree with Liz. Like we had a chat yesterday to prep for this podcast and we really connected like on a personal level. And that is definitely something that's missing in not being in the office that I really need to be better about making opportunities for that in the future because I feel like it was really just a really nice chat and it was really what my heart needed yesterday. So I feel like it's a really nice thing to get to do that and to be more conscious of doing that in the future. I think is something that I'm going to keep as a goal.
I'm glad we did it too.
Yeah.
That's so typical of TMAs. Like we had no idea you two connected in the background. So that's like the TMA role / paralegal preparing in the back, unbeknownst to us. Good job.
It's our
That's
spirit.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Exactly. It's ingrained in us, I think. Preparation behind the scenes and structure. See, you created structure.
That's right.
And here you are. So, okay. Tell us something about your current role that would surprise your younger self. Lindsay.
My younger self would be surprised that I, can walk into rooms of executives, have client meetings, handle them by myself. Like I think that my younger self was a little bit less secure in my abilities, but I feel like she would be proud of me. And the fact that I've started my own business, I think that she would be proud of me too. So I think young Lindsay is very proud.
For sure. Yeah. Liz, how about you?
I think that trademark work at all has led to a completely different life that's international and adventurous and also strategic and business development and marketing. It's just surprising the entire reality of where we are. So I'd say that is where it is.
Last one. What's your go-to productivity ritual? Liz?
For me, I like to block off time on my actual calendar for thinking. I will put my morning coffee thinking time onto my calendar every single day.
I love that.
It just gets me in the mood to be productive and to focus. And also the coffee I drink is focused. So
I'm definitely stealing that from you.
awesome.
Okay, Lindsay, what's your go-to productivity ritual?
So I love a to-do list. I have like a automate like a electronic to-do list now. And I always start with easy things in my mind or things that I can like warm up. And then I put the hardest thing right after the easiest thing. And so that works for me. So like if I need to do like to me, easy things are like applications that don't have any issues. Like I'll do a bunch of those and that kind of like warms up like, oh, I got this done. I can check that off. And so like I get excited about checking things off. And then right after that, I have the thing that I've been kind of dreading and I put it right after that. And that helps me to like tackle it when I'm like feeling like a dopamine rush from getting things done.
Really like that. My father always drove into me this concept of eat your frogs. I don't know if that's a thing that people say other places, but he would say you need to eat your frog. And what that means is that you do the hardest thing first. And I always struggle with that.
I can't ever do it. I will put it off and then get nothing done for the day. So that seems to work for me. So
I like your way.
That is so clever. So what is a hard thing? What's the hard thing under
I
the
don't know.
easy thing?
Like I hate confrontation. So if I have to like give somebody bad news or, yeah, it's usually that. It usually has to do with that.
Draft a mean cease and desist letter.
Or like
Yeah.
report a 2D or something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Yeah. It's
Ah,
not my
that's
favorite
good.
thing.
I
Yeah.
love that. That's good. Huh. Interesting. Okay, moving on. We're going to go into the big picture. So both of you have stepped outside of what we'll call traditional structures, and we'd like to know what motivated you to choose a non-traditional path. Let's start with you, Lindsay. What was the moment you decided to build the Legit Paralegal? And how did you come to hire Lucy, your adorable marketing manager? We want to hear about that.
Lucy loves listening to podcasts with me, so she'll love the fact that she got a shout out. So for me, my story kind of happened because we moved to a different state. So we're originally from Michigan and we moved to Tennessee. And where we moved is sort of out in an area that doesn't have a lot of industry or businesses. It's kind of a small town. So kind of the commute to Nashville is over an hour. So any like traditional roles would have been kind of out of my reach. So I started looking for freelance work, and my background was in litigation, real estate and business law litigation. But I was kind of getting burnt out from that. It doesn't, as I mentioned, I'm not a confrontational person, so it doesn't really meet or like fit with my personality type. So I was kind of looking to change the field of law that I was in, and I ended up finding a freelance job with an IP attorney, and she agreed to do some training, and I really appreciate that. And I kind of fell in love with trademarks. I feel like it's a great area of law to deal with. You get the excitement of helping people build their brands, and it just overall fits with my personality and style. And I was kind of chatting with Liz about this yesterday. Litigation is just also a lot of deadlines and scary deadlines where if you miss a deadline, it's like the client loses all of their rights. And, like those things would keep me up at night. And the thing I like about trademarks is even though I don't miss deadlines because of my personality, if I did miss a deadline, there is a lot of ways to fix it. So that really appealed to me about trademarks, the practice of trademarks. So yeah, I kind of, when I decided to start the Legit Paralegal, I remember one of the attorneys I was doing freelance work with just made this offhanded comment and said, because we were using third-party search reports to prepare opinion letters, and she made this offhanded comment like, if you got, or somebody in general got really good at doing test searches, the USPTO's search, you could probably make a lot of money doing that. And I was like, huh. And I just filed it away. And my husband and I do a lot of international volunteer work. He's a contractor, and we had accepted an assignment in Sri Lanka. And I had to end my contract with this attorney. And when we came back, I started looking for other jobs. And while I was looking for jobs, I took the USPTO's boot camp and kind of learned about searching, learned about search codes, learned about the field codes, and just like got, more comfortable. And I got really good at doing my own search. And so it's a service that I started offering attorneys. And it's just, like I said, it aligns better with my skill set, my zone of genius. And I discovered like a hidden talent that I never knew I had. And I've just kind of built it from there and really enjoyed offering that service. And it's a very symbiotic relationship. It's something that trademark attorneys need, is like a second set of eyes that's really good at doing a test search. And I use it in connection with a third party search. But I think like sometimes it's good to have both. And it's like the attorney wins, I win, the client wins, because you're having like, more people looking at the situation. And as far as Lucy, she is my ever-present Jack Russell mix, and that girl is always with me. So if she doesn't get some credit for this whole business that I've started, then I would be amiss. So thank you for bringing her up and letting me chat about her. She's the best.
All right. Ooh, that is so exciting, Lindsay. Thank you for elaborating there. I like how you've taken what you are really good at, implemented it into a business, and just totally grasp how you can make this successful for your business and your talent, your skills. Because a lot of times searching is actually a talent, if you will, and a skill. And with the new searching system within the USPTO, how has that affected, if at all, your business and how you use your searching skills with that new aspect of the business? And have you seen any of your clients react to how that,
Yeah, I think with the new system, you either love it or hate it. I have clients that really don't like it, and I have clients that are kind of neutral towards it. I think there's a learning curve, and I think that's where it benefits me, is because I've put the time in to really learn it. And so I can offer, I can bring attorneys up to speed on how to do search, or I can, do the search for them in tests. And so it is good for my business, because for people who don't want to learn the new system or are hesitant to learn the new system, it's something that it's a service that I can provide. So yay for me.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's really exciting. Good for you. Liz, your transition looked a little different. You went from managing portfolios to founding a legal marketing and business development firm. What sparked that shift for you?
Oh, I think it was more of a journey than a spark. I always had that entrepreneurial itch and I wanted to do something with it, and I wasn't quite sure what to do. But at the same time, I felt grounded by having a job and a profession and that structure that we talked about earlier. And I was apprehensive. I was afraid. I didn't know what to do. But my personal life is what motivated that, because I married a Brazilian and I moved to Brazil and I left that cozy portfolio job behind. I knew that I had a lot of value to add, but I didn't know how to commercialize that or make that, into a business. What do I know? But I did have a background academically in business and in marketing. And so when I got to Brazil, at first was looking for a traditional job and I needed to find employment. And I thought, well, I'll just go to the other side of the table. I realized that being on the corporate side in the US and hiring outside counsel around the world and being that liaison between the corporate marketing departments, general counsel, the legal departments, franchising and licensing, and communicating daily with attorneys from all over the world, I could see these gaps where attorneys didn't understand what the corporate requirements were or needs, or there was a lot of why going on where attorneys were, I saw that gap where they just didn't necessarily understand. And in the flip is also true. In the corporate setting, we didn't also understand why attorneys in foreign jurisdictions would ask certain things the way they would or ignore certain things the way they would. And so I saw that disconnect, and I reached out and I applied all over the place. I was told by FIFA that my English was insufficient to work as a TMA for them in Brazil. Shocker. And then I found a home working in a law firm, and I was employed by that law firm. It was an experience that was unlike any other I had had, because the difficulty in finding a job eventually led me to teaching English to an attorney who was getting ready to attend the INTA conference, and he had to give a presentation to a potential client, and he wanted to practice English before going. And I reviewed the presentation. I said, look, I know we were connected because of the background that I have to teach you English, but you can't say any of this in your presentation. And if you want me to stop and just teach you English, I will. But really, you can't say this and you can't say this, you can't say that. The client is interested in these three things. And if you answer these three things correctly, then you might have a shot. If your answer is, I'll let you know when I get back to my office, you've wasted their time. And, insights like this, that I said, I was on the receiving side of these proposals. And I can tell you from my experience that you have much more of a chance of success if you are able to articulate these things that I know that are important to them. And how do you know all that? Well, that's where that gap was. That's where that disconnect was. And he went away, and that's the only work I could find was tutoring English for someone headed to INTA, where I should have been heading that year. And he came back and he called me and said, why the hell aren't you working in your field? What is going on? You should be working in your field. And I said, I know, but I couldn't find a job here. No one wants to hire me. And he said, well, what's the issue? And largely it was about money. It wasn't about it. No one believed that I earned what I earned, because shout out TMAs, you actually can bank in America, and that doesn't translate well in other jurisdictions necessarily to, what the local jurisdictions are paying people. And so I said, you know what? I'll eat what I kill. You pay me to do, what I bring in. You don't have to pay me a salary, but give me a title, send me to INTA. I'll do business development for you. And that's that's how it'll work. And that business development role turned into a relationship that lasted for 6 years. And shortly into it, my husband got a job working in the United States, and we had to return to the US. And I didn't want to go. I was living in Brazil. I was living in Rio de Janeiro and having to go back to Houston. What? No. Um, but when we got back, I had a choice. Do I go back to that comfortable profession and work in another company, maybe manage another portfolio or become a trademark paralegal again? Or do I make a complete shift and go back to this firm and say, you know, I would like to continue working with you, but you're going to have to be a client of mine, and I'm going to have to charge you a lot more money for a lot less work. And that's how Firm Forward was born, and they were my first client.
And there it is, folks. And you know what? Leave it up to a TMA to bridge that gap, to close that gap. You know, it takes a special skill, a special character, a special role that isn't just really laid out there and put on paper. It's created, right? That's kind of what we do in our line of work.
So true.
So kind of going with that, so TMAs often undervalue their skill sets, or like Lindsay was saying, their hidden talents. When you both first started redefining your roles, how did you begin reframing your expertise, both to yourself and to others? Let's start with Liz.
For me, I began by utilizing my corporate experience as the relevance, as the justification for me being in this role. And so I am capable of doing business development for a law firm because I have such incredible client side experience. And that can not only improve the way you provide your legal services and even communicate and then eventually doing your marketing, because for me that was part of the transition. Is I was a business development consultant first in my entrepreneurial Firm Forward company, and it wasn't until later during COVID that I transitioned to an agency model to do legal marketing as a service on top of that was more productified than what it was at the time that I started. So for me, it was that in-house experience translated to being capable of doing business development because I could clearly articulate the legal services of a firm to potential clients in a way that maybe would have been missed or, maybe not done quite as well. I added a lot of value that way.
Lindsay, how about you? How did you begin reframing your expertise?
So yeah, I have, experience as a paralegal, but going into a new field, I do think that there is a lot of imposter syndrome. Even if you, like I said, spend the time, do the work, you get good at what you do, but you're like, oh, is this good enough? So I think, just practice, 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 practice. And I think as paralegals, we're really good at doing the work. So just put the work in. Like, you know, if if you're worried about your searches being good, just do a good search. I don't know. It's like, we all know the difference between, putting our full effort in. And so I think in the beginning you have to put in the work to kind of make it become an expert level and to present yourself as that. But once you put in the work, rely on that and, pat yourself on the back and you said, I did this hard thing. I'm really good at this one thing. I don't have to be good at everything, but I am good at this one thing. And these attorneys really need, for me, it's these attorneys really need this skill. And I'm a good resource for them. And I feel really good about that.
So on the podcast Good Hang, Amy had a guest by the name of Anna Gasteyer, and she was talking about her performances on Broadway. And she was criticizing herself. And she said, "You are not a reliable witness of yourself." Now, this kind of goes into what we're going to talk about next, because I think it's very appropriate. Not only did the both of you create your own businesses, but you also happen to be women in IP. And creating your own business is scary, and it's not easy to do. And mad kudos to the both of you. So as women in IP stepping into independent roles, did you find that you had to assert your expertise differently or even push back on assumptions? I'd really like to hear your thoughts on this and your experience. Lindsay, let's start with you.
Yeah, I think it's I love that quote you shared. That's awesome. We aren't very sometimes self-aware of the value that we bring. So it's something that I've had to really consciously work on. And stepping into that role, I think that the work speaks for itself. And I have to remind myself that a lot. I don't cut corners. I do really good work. And kind of like what I was saying before, when you put the time in, you can feel really good about your product. My husband's in the trades and he does really good work. And he leaves, he's an electrician. He leaves a job site and he looks at his like racks of conduit and he's like, man, I put in a good day's work. And I feel the same way. Like I did my best. I've done the training. I've put in the work. I should have a seat at this table. I bring a really important service to this community, and it's really, you know, I should feel like I should feel good about what I'm bringing and the contribution that I'm making to these law firms and to these clients' businesses. And I actually do really feel good about it. So it's something that I can have a lot of pride over.
And also, we need to work on, at least I know for myself, receiving the compliments, receiving the credit where we deserve it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
For
I know
sure.
it's hard for us to take it in sometimes as women. I'm not sure why. If someone could answer that, that'd be great. But sometimes we just need to learn how to receive credit where credit is due. That has a lot to do with how we roll. I'm not sure what that is, but one day I'm working on that. Liz, how about you?
Man, I still struggle with this all the time. And it has been a challenge. I think it will continue to be a challenge. I compare myself to my male counterparts. I definitely feel that I need to be more assertive, and then that gets judged as aggressiveness or desperation. And for me, the compliment is not enough. I want the money. Um, it's only fair, right? But I still know that I make far less than my male counterparts. I can't charge as much as they charge and get the work. And I haven't been able to, even though I've been at it for 12 years now, and I'm still making less than my male counterparts were 10 years ago. And I know that. I'm well aware of that. So for me, this is an ongoing struggle. And I I don't think I'm underestimating myself because like Lindsay said, you do good work, you can see the success, you can feel the success of your clients. When my clients are successful, I am successful. But that's not always true. So I can have a client become law firm of the year and get all sorts of recognition and lots of new revenue from the work that I'm doing with them and still not be able to make that show up in my paycheck, right? So it's an ongoing struggle. I don't know the answer to this one, but I'd love some inspiration from other people too here.
It's
Who
an
can we
ongoing.
rely on to
That's
estimate
right. Yeah.
ourselves, if not ourselves?
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. And oftentimes we're our own worst critics, which goes along with that same quote, you are not a reliable witness of yourself. So that's something that is an ongoing conversation and maybe for a long time. But there's a movement, right? Workforce is changing. We're in the right time. And that's why we're talking about it today in this Women in IP episode. So good job.
As someone who doesn't like to take the credit too, I find it easier for me to like talk about, Emily, how great she is, and like other people. And I feel like that reciprocates, and maybe like it's just women supporting women. Maybe we can somehow get to where we need to be there, because it's definitely easier for me to talk about someone else and then they'll turn it around on me like, well, how about you? And I'm like, oh, nothing about me, please. um, Anyway, so neither of you has a traditional in-house hierarchy title anymore, but you're clearly leaders. What does leadership look like in your current roles? Liz, let's start with you.
Hmm. Well, I'm going through a bit of a transition these days, but um, going back to one of your rapid fire questions, I lead with empowerment. I like to see other people be successful and to make sure that I make space for that. And that is something I always try to do so that as other people rise, especially in my own entity, my own corporation, but also within the clients I serve. As people rise, we rise too. And so that's really the even foundational for me, is that leadership style of empowering other people to be their best at their, skills and talents that they're sharing with us.
Yeah, I love that. I just wrote it down. When people rise, we rise too. Um,
Michelle Obama,
oh,
Mhm.
perfect.
right? Like, yeah.
Lift as we climb. There's another
Lift
great
as we climb,
podcast.
yeah.
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 There's another great podcast out there called Bossed Up. Her name is Emily Aries, actually. And we can put it in the show notes. Her podcast is great. She's actually local here in Denver. And Lift as we climb. She's a really good advocate for equal pay, actually, for women. So you should check that out.
I will check that out. That sounds very interesting.
Lindsay, what does leadership look like for you?
I think back to all the people that have mentored me and trained me and given me, so generously their expertise and things. So now that I feel I've become quote unquote an expert in what I do, it's something that I like to also do with people who reach out to me. And I have a lot of actually people that reach out to me and say, "Hey, how did you do this?" And I'm definitely of the abundance mindset of like, I have I have more than enough work. So if somebody else can learn what I'm doing, I don't think that that's something that I'm scared of. So I have given lots of time just mentoring people, telling them, here's how I started, here's kind of like where to look for the work, where to look for the free training. Feel free to run things by me. And I feel like that's what a leader does, especially with other women. It's something that I've benefited from, and it's definitely something I want to continue to do with people that are coming up in the industry.
Oh, girl, trust me, I'm keeping you in my back pocket and be like, hey, what do you think about this?
I would love that. I would love that.
Okay.
So, what's the hardest business lesson you learned early on? Liz.
For me, underestimating the resources and the time and other resources it would take to get something done, it's my fatal flaw, and I still struggle with it. It is the hardest lesson because it ends up leading to poor delivery or miscommunication or lost clients, and it is something that I've learned a lot about. Unfortunately, and fortunately, because it's led to improvement too, but that is certainly my biggest struggle.
Maybe that's because you're a perfectionist. Do you find yourself revisiting things a ton?
Absolutely. It definitely plays into it.
Bingo.
Yep.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
Yep. You know me now.
That's right. Yep.
And it's good
Yeah,
you're aware of it. I think it's
that's right.
being self-aware that you do those things and then you can try to work on it. So that's good.
Lindsay, yeah, you agreed too, Lindsay. Why
Oh,
do you?
absolutely. I think you have to be a perfectionist to a certain extent in our field, like
Yeah.
it just because we're good at some things doesn't mean, and this is something me and Liz talked about yesterday too, is like for me, just because I'm really good at like dates and deadlines and things like that, it's not necessarily great for my mental health.
Oh my gosh, I know.
Because I mean, it's my skill. I'm so good at it, but like I obsess, it's not good actually. So finding something like I've done and kind of niche down is really good for me because it's something that I can use my perfectionism, but not the stress of like, other areas. And so just, yeah, going back to, I think we're all a little bit perfectionist, but it's finding a way to like use that to our benefit, but not harm ourselves in the mind loop of like, oh, did I do enough? Or is this good enough? Or, is this a final product? Or do I need to go over it one more time and see if this is like, did I miss anything?
It's a curse. I need to find the formula
I've,
to like what's the antidote there or
Yeah.
the formula, the
I've gotten kind of crazy into the AI tools too. And I know that it's a rabbit hole that can spin you out of control, but it's also something that I think has grounded me with delivering and making things as perfect as I would like them to be. Um, just with crafting a prompt and the way we communicate. So
Yeah.
there are things that are helping as we go
Yeah. That's
along.
good. That's good to hear. That's encouraging.
And Lindsay, what hard lesson did you learn early on?
I think really for me, it was learning to value my time properly. And you sort of talked about this too, Liz, is that, we work so hard, we give our all, and then am I getting fairly compensated for it? And it's easy to do in the beginning, because you're so grateful for the opportunity and you'll just do anything to make the client happy. But then, as we've talked about, it takes time to realize, oh, okay, my expertise has real value. And so here's my price and here's my product, and I'm sure you're gonna be happy with it. So that's been a challenge, and I'm getting to the point where I'm getting better at that.
Yeah. And so speaking of value, how did you approach pricing your services and valuing your expertise after coming from salaried positions? You want to touch on that a little bit, Lindsay?
Sure, yeah. So I use all flat fees.
Mm.
And because trademark work is so, system driven, the flat fee is how most trademark attorneys operate anyway. So it's easy for them to build my fee into their price structure. And then it lets me focus on the quality instead of just watching the clock. So it kind of is a win-win for everybody.
Liz, how about you?
It took me a while to implement value-based pricing instead of, what the competition does, or, what, I don't know, the internet says you should charge, or that hourly based pricing that does tie you down. Um, we now, since the transition to an agency model, have implemented subscription style. So we do have project fees for certain projects if it's something bespoke, but for our standardized services, they're on a monthly subscription. But then we decided to make them without a contract. So for the most part, if someone were unhappy with our services, they could cancel with just 30 days notice. And that's also something that tells people how confident we are in our services, that we are not going to hold you to a contract that's long term, because we don't feel that's necessary, and we're proud of the work that we do and hope that it works out for you, and they'll be willing to pay that monthly subscription fee on an ongoing basis.
That's neat. I like that module, but don't let yourself fall into that rocket money thing where you're going to be identified as one of those subscriptions where you want to be.
No, you can just,
no.
it's very
That's cool,
easy.
though. Yeah, that's neat.
Yeah.
I like that. That's a good business module to have options. I think a lot of the times these days, especially, I keep talking about the workforce changing, but in fact it is, especially with AI and all that good stuff. But clients look for that. They look for options, and the hourly rate, the hourly billing thing is just, I don't know. I don't know. It's a scary thing, I think, for clients. And um, I don't know. We'll see how long that lasts, right? So I think you guys are keeping up with the times. It's really cool to see that. Yeah. Okay. For TMAs listening who may be considering alternative career paths, what's one grounded piece of advice that you'd offer? Liz, let's start with you.
Take a hard look at your value. And I mean, every TMA I know is smart and talented, but maybe underestimates the value that they give to the companies they work for or the law firms. And I think, just take a hard look at that value and maybe think about it in a new way. And don't be afraid to fail. And I read this book, Startup Nation, and talked about being an entrepreneur. And I think that's maybe the thing. Everyone is afraid because they're afraid it won't work out or afraid they won't have enough money. But if that's what's holding you back, don't be afraid of failure. If you fail, you can, I mean, as a TMA, you're so valuable, you could always go back to being a TMA.
Yeah, that's very true. And you're your own advocate. Sometimes hard to do, but don't be afraid. That's really good advice. Lindsay, how about you?
So my advice is to be really good at one thing. That's what's worked for me. There's a real kind of itch to like try to do everything. But early on, it's just almost impossible and you won't really do anything well. So I've thought about, oh, maybe I could add office action response preparation, draft office action response to my, services. And I'm good at office action responses, but as we have talked about, am a perfectionist and they take me like a billion years to do. So have I written office action responses, that have been successful? Yes. Is it something that I want to offer? No, it's because I am really good at doing this other thing, and this other thing I can monetize easier. And so I guess the moral of the story is you don't have to be good at everything. Trademark and IP work requires specialized, very technical skills. So just pick one thing to get good at, and it'll be good.
Yeah, I love that. That's very true because the IP world does cover a lot of things, and all those things require a lot of training and knowledge, and you got to retain those things, and I feel like there's things added to all those things every day. Now we have to think about all this AI stuff.
And they
What's
change all the time.
Yeah, and what's the next thing? I remember when the TMCH or the Trademark Clearinghouse came out, I'm like, who created this additional thing? Now we have to think about another thing, I just, all these TMA things, but we're doing it. But I agree, that's a really good advice. I like that, just single yourself into one thing. A lot of people are good at doing that. I like how you built that into your business module too. That's really cool.
Now it's time for this episode's adminspiration. At the TMA Talk Show, we like to highlight a TMA or someone in the TMA community who has inspired our guests. And our guests have chosen you. Yes, you. All of you. All of you TMAs and TMA supporters in the broader trademark community, including lawyers and business development folks who are amazing supporters of TMAs. The culture of collaboration and spirit of knowledge sharing and mutual support are what make this community so special. Congratulations to you all.
In the next episode of the TMA Talk Show, we'll chat about something that many trademark administrators think about but don't always track. It is one of the most important and often misunderstood aspects of trademark management: key performance indicators, or KPIs. How do you measure success in the trademark administration? Is it the number of filings, or how quickly clearance searches are completed, or how effectively a portfolio is managed? We're going to explore practical ways trademark administrators and legal teams can use KPIs to measure efficiency, manage risk, and demonstrate the real value they bring to brand protection programs. We'll also talk about examples of metrics that teams are using today and how data can help communicate results to legal leadership and business stakeholders. You really don't want to miss this one. The TMA Talk Show is a production of Alt Legal and the Trademark Administrators Exchange. And before we go, a big thanks to our amazing team. Content producer, Tracy Cook. Chief Editor, Jernez Owens. Editorial Producer, Bree Van Thiel. Social Media Manager, Sam Hands. And original music by Sunny St. John. This was made by TMAs for TMAs. Until next time, stay inspired, stay curious, and always keep transforming your tomorrow.